CBS News has learned Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared details about U.S. airstrikes on Yemen in a second group chat on the encrypted app Signal. Sources familiar with the messages say the group chat included Hegseth's wife, brother, and personal attorney. The texts were sent the same day he shared similar information to a group chat that mistakenly included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Hegseth was asked about the reporting at the White House Monday.
We're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter.
In a statement on social media, Pentagon spokesperson says no classified information was shared in the chat. CBS News Pentagon reporter Eleanor Watson joins us now. Eleanor, how much detail was shared in the second group chat, and would there be any reason for Hegseth's wife, brother, and attorney to see this information?
Well, from what we know, the details in the second chat were the same as the details in the first chat, which means types of weapons, types of targets, and most importantly, the timing of these strikes before the strikes happened. Now, that first chat included cabinet secretaries like Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance, who may have a need to know this information in some form. This second chat, as you mentioned, included Hegseth's inner circle. He started the chat and intentionally added people like his brother, his personal attorney, and his wife, who is not a Defense Department employee, is a former Fox News producer, and to our knowledge has no need to know about updates for these strikes. Now, his brother and his personal attorney do have positions at the Pentagon, but they're not positions that rise to the level, at least clearly, of why they would need to know such sensitive details.
So maybe not classified, but certainly sensitive information. Am I correct in characterizing that?
Certainly sensitive. Now, the Defense Department has said it's not classified information. They said that about the first chat and the second chat, but we should note that the Defense Department Inspector General is evaluating already, because of the existence of that first chat, Hegseth's use of Signal and whether or not he properly followed the policies regarding classified information.
We heard Hegseth mention disgruntled employees. We know there have been staffing changes at the Department of Defense. What's happening?
He blamed this latest story about Signal on disgruntled employees. He must be referring to 3 officials who were ousted last week amidst a probe into unauthorized leaks to news outlets. 2 of those officials, Dan Caldwell, a senior advisor to the secretary, and Darren Selnick, his deputy chief of staff, have known Hegseth apparently for years and were brought to the Pentagon by Hegseth. Both Caldwell and Selnick, in addition to Colin Carroll, the chief of staff for the deputy secretary of defense, issued a statement over the weekend saying that they did not leak information and that they have still not been told what exactly they were investigated for. Whatever the reason for their removals, their departures now leave a hole of advisors for the secretary. And we learned just today that Hegseth's chief of staff, Joe Casper, is moving on to another position, leaving yet another hole in Hegseth's inner circle.
I also want to ask you about the U.S. withdrawing troops from Syria. How many troops are we talking about, and what's behind the decision?
Well, President Trump has wanted to withdraw from Syria since his first term. He tried to in his first term, but was advised against it. There have been about 2,000 troops in Syria as part of the Defeat ISIS mission. Now, in his second term, President Trump seems to have approved a plan from the Pentagon to withdraw at least hundreds of troops and consolidate the remaining to a smaller number of bases, with the potential of drawing down even more. Now, ISIS does not have the physical territory it used to have, but officials who advocate for U.S. troops to stay in Syria say that the U.S. troops are necessary, A, to prevent ISIS from resurging, and B, to help support the guards who man the prisons that house thousands of ISIS fighters in Syria.
Eleanor Watson, thank you.